Today on Here for the Right Reasons, Connor Staley gives us his take on why Bachelor Nation isn't getting the Instagram followers like it used to.
To me, the days of like going on the show to get social media followers is kind of over a little bit, at least with The Bachelor.
Plus, Kaitlyn Bristowe may be hinting at trouble in paradise with Jason. Eric Schuer confirms a new relationship, and Zach responds to being boring. Plus, we recap the latest episode of The Bachelor. We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly Deputy Editor Sarah Heron, and welcome to week 5 of The Bachelor. COVID week.
I have no words for what we just witnessed. It was a lot of iPad work.
A lot of iPad work. It was, Zach didn't want to be called boring, but this was a boring episode.
Bad timing for the boring label to be resurfacing because, whew.
All right, before we get into it, let's see what you guys had to say about last week's show. One user said, Michelle, Nate, Brandon, and Rodney all live in LA, living that influencer life. Not sure why Nate is the only one labeled as not there for the right reasons. Is Michelle still a teacher in Minnesota? Majority of these people moved to SoCal to capitalize on the fame. Leads included Becca, Katie, Rachel, etc. All of Zach's rejects will go to BIP and do the same thing. Not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I think we were just saying, at least according to Michelle's side of the story, was that he kind of dipped out on her. And then he even did admit of like breaking up with her over the phone. Mm-hmm. And I think it's less about moving to LA and more about just like the way that maybe like how seriously they each took the relationship and a little differently, but we don't really know. That was just our guess.
That was our take, yes.
Another user said, I also bet that Destiny and Kat will be the upper runners, I think runner-ups, both sweet and genuine. And I think Kat definitely is in the mix for sure.
I think so too. I think so as well, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get into our news of the week. And Kaitlyn Bristowe has shared a poignant message about her romance with Jason. She quoted author Vex King on Instagram writing, happy couples aren't just the ones posting kissing selfies. They're the ones having uncomfortable conversations, helping each other overcome trauma and ugly crying to save their relationship. Happy couples prioritize growth and are a source of inspiration for each other. Happiness looks different for everyone. It also isn't easy. Of course, they began dating in 2019. After 3 years of dating, he popped the question, and we're still waiting for this wedding. I know that we've both talked to her numerous times, and, they've been trying to nail down a date, but interesting quote to share.
I think Kaitlyn, it's so interesting because she does share so much, but then she also has her own struggles, as we all do. And then people read into everything she does, and she's so exposed with her own podcast and also how she wants to be real on Instagram, which she is, but then you're letting people into a very private part of your life. So as much as you want to commend someone for sharing their real life on Instagram and not, putting a filter on it, then people I feel think they have access to all parts of you. And that's a dangerous place to be in. Yeah. There's no right or wrong answer, but on Chris Harrison's podcast that she was on just a couple weeks ago, she kind of said, every time Jason and I sit down to wedding plan, we see a bottle of wine or see a board game or see a show's on. And we're we just rather be doing that. And he was that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you want to have kids or if you do want to get married, you do kind of have to do it. So I think they just don't maybe know what they want right now.
Right.
But I don't know.
And it's also interesting because you don't, you were saying, it's how much do I show on my Instagram? How much do I want to keep private? And I'm sure it's really hard to kind of strike that balance when you've been so open. You're known for having a relationship in the public eye, especially with Sean, that's what you're known for. So everybody expects you to share everything. And sometimes you don't want to, and it's got to put a lot of pressure on a relationship. And especially when people are asking nonstop, when are you going to get married? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? It's got to be all right, let us just do things on our own terms. Yes, relationships aren't easy, and I'm going to be as open and honest as I possibly can. So
I think it's just a message the cryptic quotes, they ain't worth it, people. If you find a cryptic quote or any sort of quote that you love, maybe save it, make it your screensaver, your whatever, but don't put it on Instagram, whether you're Khloe Kardashian or Kaitlyn Bristowe. It's going to make people speculate, and it's just not worth it.
We're going to read into it like we always do.
Yeah. Well, someone who has officially moved on less than 3 months after his engagement to Gabby Windy, and Eric appears to be off the market market. He reposted a Polaroid with an influencer named Elizabeth Turner on Valentine's Day. Gabby and Eric confirmed their breakup in November of 2022, just 2 months after their proposal aired on this program, saying it was compatibility issues. More recently, he spoke to OK Magazine about what he wanted in a future partner, saying he was taking things slow, but he wants a best friend, someone that I can vibe with every day. I want a partnership where we can lean on and support each other through the highs and the lows. Someone open to adventure, but also down for the occasional White Lotus binge watch in one setting. And fiery romance, because at the end of the day, I'm a hopeless romantic.
Hopeless romantic. What do you think of this pairing?
I mean, they make a cute couple. They're both beautiful. She's got more followers than him, which is sometimes interesting in Bachelor Nation world. She's like a model. It's quickish. I mean,
I was
Gabby
gonna say kind of soon.
Didn't last very long. No. So there's that. So I don't know also how like checked out they were. We announced it in November. I mean, it couldn't have had too much time because we were watching her in Dancing with the Stars every week, and he was there one week and ring was off the next. But Gabby's also been out here flirting with Vinny from Jersey Shore. So I guess to each their own. I don't know. I do think it's a little soon to be posting the Valentine's Day Polaroid.
I think so too. I mean, it's only been 3 months, like you said. And, but I guess it wasn't really like a very long relationship with Gabby either. But I mean, I guess people move quickly. And I guess but I mean, like if you're posting that you're, already in a relationship, you had to be dating for quite some time to like.
Right. Was this their first date?
Yeah. This was not a first date. This was like a couple months in the making. So
she must really, really like White Lotus. So she was like, I'm in. Let's go public. You like White Lotus. Let's get married.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to boring Zach, because while sitting down on the Clickbait podcast, he opened up about being dubbed the boring Bachelor. He said, I didn't have my phone at the time of the announcement, so I didn't see the initial fanfare, for better or for worse. I didn't see any of that. After the fact, like after filming, I did learn about people calling me boring. I was like, okay, but just watch though. It gets pretty good. He added that before the season even started, I know I was called a boring Bachelor, but not a whole lot of was shown from us guys last season. I do totally understand where people are coming from, because it seems like this random guy, Zach, who they only saw do one dumb thing on the ship, and that's about it. That is true. We really didn't get to know any of the guys last season. So I feel like anybody that's really was going to be put in his place would be like, who? Why? This doesn't really make sense. Maybe. I don't know.
It's just weird that this is the third runaway hit because of the splitting of the time. So I wouldn't say he was so random, but he wasn't like, I would necessarily say the obvious choice.
No.
Then you go back last year, Clayton was obviously out of nowhere. And then even before that, Matt James was literally not even a part of Bachelor Nation. So the last couple picks have just been too random. Like, I don't understand. I think we got to go back to basics. We just pick the runner-up. Whoever the runner-up is, you get the job. It should be an automatic trip.
I totally agree with you. It's just like you're trying to like, I don't know, shake things up a little bit, but it is boring. I mean, this season is not really fun to watch, and not maybe because of Zach. It's just maybe this formula is just getting really old, and just we're not connecting with these people like we used to, or for the fact that we probably know that these relationships aren't going to work.
I think it's all of the above.
Yeah, I think so too. I think something's got to change, and I think kind of jumping into your conversation with Connor, about how people aren't really connecting with these people anymore, and that's shown in the followers that they're having.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so bizarre that I saw. One thing I like about Zach is he's a little bit in on the joke. He's talking about being boring. He reposted a meme about last week's episode where the girls were fighting over getting to like 50,000 followers, which is nothing. And them saying like Zach having the realization of he doesn't even have 100K. And like, so it's like these girls who went on this season are with the Bachelor that hasn't even broken 100K, which is crazy. I mean, we talk about Kaitlyn Bristowe. She was the first one to get to 1 million. Hannah Brown was the first one to get to 2 million while their seasons were airing. Like, that's madness. And I talked to Connor about it, and we kind of just tried to break it down. And I think kind of like what you were saying about why the show feels stale, there's a lot of reasons, but this is what we had to say about the Instagram of it all.
The whole concept of the Instagram followers and the Bachelor is just so interesting. And I feel like people now, if you're going on there to get Instagram followers, I would maybe like ask you to question if that's really what you're going to get. I feel like personally, there's probably a lot of other ways. If content creation or Instagram or social media is a career you want to go into, there's a lot of other ways you can like make that happen.
Right.
versus
start posting versus trying to wait 7 months for this show to air for then
Exactly.
your opportunities are very limited too. As someone who books this show, it's very difficult to get hold of these people in their quote heyday of relevance when the show is airing, at least. Like,
right. But then in like a year, there's going to be a new set of people, you know? So, but yeah, I don't know. But like, if you go on the show, get followers, wait 7 months for that to happen, you're ultimately going to have to start posting content anyways to keep it going. Yeah. So why don't you just start doing that now and create your own platform and not be known as X person from The Bachelor, Bachelorette? Just go do something cool and like make it happen for yourself.
Or go on like Love is Blind. They still get a lot of followers.
Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle. I mean, there's a lot of cool shows out there now, but yeah, I don't know. I think to me, the days of like going on the show to get social media followers is kind of over a little bit, at least The Bachelor. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think part of it is Instagram. It's still really popular, but it's the algorithm. Everything is different with how even Instagram works now. So it's not guaranteed. There's TikTok, which I think a lot of these girls get some decent amount of TikTok following, but not enough to like be where you guys were on Instagram comparison wise.
I think too, if you go back to Clare and Tayshia's season, I think that's where the mistake was made, honestly. Because like Peter, I mean, the show historically would pick someone who was like a fan favorite, everyone loved. And then like, no offense to Clare, but they picked Clare. And a lot of like the new viewers just don't know her.
True.
I think if they had picked her years ago when she was on the main show, like for sure she would have been a great pick. But it's tough like doing that. And then I feel like that caused like, you know, if people don't know the lead, they're already not as interested as maybe would be. And then that's going to affect the cast coming off of that season. And then you pick someone from that season who's not as relevant. It's like, to me, that's kind of like a trickling down effect. So and then they had 2 bachelorettes, which I just feel like wasn't like, it's interesting, but I just don't think it like works with the dynamic of the show.
Yeah.
And then like Zach came from that. So like, obviously he's getting half of the airtime as you normally would. And then I think whoever comes off of this season is impacted by that too.
It's interesting that he like brings it back to Clare's season and kind of like, you know, not blames it on that, but said that that was kind of the start of it because you had somebody that was so far removed from Bachelor that a lot of people were like, wait, who's this person? Why should I be invested in this if I don't really know her story? Because it's been years. But yeah, it just seems like but like you made a good point too. A lot of people are, you know, going to different avenues like TikTok and things like that. So I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird. And I think everything, like, I don't think there's a right answer, which is why we kind of are throwing out different theories, but it's so low. Like some of these girls don't even have 10K followers yet. And I feel like night one girls on seasons past even got that far. And the show's leaning into it. They're using the word Instagram. But then it's not translating. So I think it's bizarre. And I know it's like they're not for the followers, but I think it's an interesting look at what's happening. Because ratings wise, I think it's just on par with what they would expect because ratings for all TV are down. So it's not like this has been like Bachelor is going to be yanked off the air. Like they're already, from everything I've heard, casting the Bachelor very actively. Like this show is not disappearing after Zach.
No. And we still have the senior Bachelor that we need.
Right.
In years.
I think they got to give that up.
I think so too. They got to give it up. All right. Well, let's get into our recap. And, you know, we head on over to London. We brought our awful fake British accents with us and things started out great with Gabby. She got a date making perfume. She got the pretty woman treatment. And, you know, if you're getting the pretty woman treatment, that the lead really does like you.
Guaranteed top 4.
Yep.
Because you got all the presents. You got everyone to be jealous of you. We're making perfume. That was cute. If they really do end up together, the scent of it all. A lot of royal family references, which was, I don't know about you, but a little triggering for me in this line of work. I'm kind of, I don't watch this show to be reminded of how I have to cover every time these people breathe. But it was cute, I guess. Like the butler, I don't know. Like it wasn't the worst thing I've seen.
It wasn't the worst thing I've seen. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I think they, had a good connection. Like you said, she's going to go far. UB40 was there. Yeah. Random. Like,
is that the one doing the cover of Elvis?
What's that?
Is that who was doing the cover of Elvis?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I was so confused, but then I remembered. So at first, I actually really like Gabby. I think she's super relatable. Yeah. And I said this on the podcast last week. I think that they're showing a lot of her personality, which fares well for her, whether they want her to be the Bachelorette or they want us to either have an eye on her. Like we've seen her be quirky with the maple syrup. I feel like she was making funny faces last week. Now they're giving her a one-on-one. That is the Pretty Woman date, which is always usually a big one. I really like her, and I think she's quirky and cute and gorgeous. And when I heard that Elvis song again, I was like, what is happening? Because I'm pretty sure they play that in the premiere episode of Zach's or like in the this season of The Bachelor. So now I'm thinking Gabby wins simply based on this Elvis cover.
Interesting. Maybe full circle moment. We'll have to wait and see. But yes, I totally agree with you. She's going to go pretty far in all of this. And somebody that's probably not going to go too much further is Greer, who had a full on breakdown about not being invited on the tea date.
I mean, okay, I need to know why she has this teacup tattoo. I guess it's simply because she just loves tea so much.
Yeah, I guess loves the tea. Loves a good tea.
I mean, that was crazy. Watching her spiral over tea, honestly, I did laugh. Like that was a highlight for me just because I thought it was funny. And it just kept coming up. And it also begs the question, like, how much control does a lead have over who gets what date, when they get the date? And you get different answers from everyone. I think it's a combo. I think from my basic understanding is they will say, like, I like this person, make sure they get a one-on-one. But is the Bachelor saying, oh, Gabby would love trying on clothes?
Right.
Or is he saying, Greer likes tea? Like, I don't think Zach knows you like tea. I don't care how many times you told him.
Yeah, I don't think he remembers any of that, quite frankly. But kudos to producers for making Greer cry in front of Gabby's room and she had to walk over her. I was dying.
I laughed too. And especially because she walked away and I was like, oh wow, they're making her just walk around with all her bags. And then it was she had to come back. I feel like Gabby, because again, she's pretty likable, probably was hoping that wasn't actually her room. Walked away and then was like, oh my God, this is what they're doing, what I do. And she could have been more gloated. And I think you saw a lovely side of her as well with Gabby when, she was not bragging, but she was talking about all her stuff. And she was like, I don't want to be braggy. And they were like, no, have your moment. This is a very supportive, seemingly group of girls. And just to have the realization of, oh, maybe I shouldn't be. And then them being like, no, of course, this is the show. I liked that because having the self-awareness to not just walk in and be like, look at my new wardrobe, but you can still do it. It's fair to show. So.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that he kept Greer after that really awkward Zoom conversation that they had as well, with the whole her comparing this to her sales job and him not feeling that at all. I'm actually surprised that he kept her.
I think he didn't want to. I think this was the first time Zach did something he didn't want to do, keeping someone wise, because I know he probably was just feeling uncomfortable doing this virtual rose ceremony, which my God, weren't we all? But he looked not happy when he called her name. I feel like it was on his face and she was already crying. So I feel like he's just this chick is not worth it to have around. Or he's in his head, okay, there was a first impression. I don't want to get rid of my first impression rose winner because I did feel something and it's not fair that I didn't get to see her in person. Maybe Greer was one of the ones he was planning on at the group date, trying to see if the connection was there, but then felt like he couldn't get rid of her without seeing her in person.
Yeah. It was so uncomfortable. The whole second half of this show was extremely uncomfortable with obviously he can't help that he got COVID and that they had to, scramble and, turn this into a Zoom party. But I don't know. It's like we were saying before this, maybe make better editing choices. This whole episode just felt so stale and so terrible.
I know. I think it's interesting because we say we don't necessarily get to know the contestants. And then this was an opportunity where there was no even Bachelor. Right. And we got to see these women, but I still learned nothing.
No, nothing. We just watched them gallivant around London, talking in their British accents and, having a group date without Zach, having a cocktail party without Zach. Then having these weird iPad Zoom conversations and having dates through the door when Katie brought him this basket full of just nothing. It's just,
when Jesse Palmer came in and was like, Katie, you're a nurse, you get it. She was like, well, not really. They were all we don't have sympathy. We're pissed. They're probably it's 2022. If Zach's not actively whatever, we want to risk it.
Right. No. And especially, and then they didn't even isolate Gabby from all them. And Gabby was with him the night before. So
I guess they don't want to bore us with her getting COVID tests. It's similar to the whole Logan had COVID last season. It's, if we want to I understand we can't necessarily suspend belief because a positive COVID test is a positive COVID test. Legally, they probably don't feel they can, have him around. Yeah. But one, we live in the age of where Love is Blind is a full on dating show. Why don't we put Zach in a pod and make us do some sort of he has to guess who it is. Let's do it that way. There's ways to do this. even the virtual one with the iPads, why not do that earlier? Why did we have to watch two versions of the same thing of the girls getting all disappointed, right, feeling like they were stood up? Like Zach has any control over this. Like, you think he wants to be in his room and he could be making out with all of you. Like, it was just too long. It
was way too long. It really was. And you make a good point. They should have turned this into some sort of game, some sort of like getting to know you type of like event, anything but just what you and I are doing right now, just chatting over Zoom.
Right. And I think that, like, I don't know. I really, watching them get so upset at the second thing, what did they think was going to happen? Like, he was actually going to be okay. Like, were they telling them that? Like, you'll probably see him later. You'll probably see him later, to get these reactions that were so shocking about like being stood up again. Like, first of all, like, this is his say. And two, like, they didn't realize that they just spent the whole day without the guy. Did they really think he was going to come?
Right. You think he's going to have this miraculous recovery? But whatever, it seems like Zach is fine for next week. I don't even know where we're going next week, but it seems like we're continuing our journey to find love. And I don't know. I can't get into it this season. I don't know why. I mean, maybe once we get a little bit further along and, the real connections are forming, then maybe it'll get a little bit better, but it's just not doing it for me.
I do like Gabby. And I do think that it seems like, based on the preview, which was a lengthy one, it wasn't like a next week. I think it was like rest of the season kind of vibe. It'll be interesting that I think it was Catherine, who was a clear frontrunner, seems to now be kind of like in drama. And you have Jess, the 23-year-old with body liberal, who I've been obsessed with, having a breakdown over not getting one-on-one. So I think there's some things that are there. There's stuff to look forward to, but this episode was not like the thing to get the ball rolling. Like, it was a middle of the season, boring episode in the boring Bachelor season. Like, that wasn't good.
No, totally. I totally agree with you. All right, let's move on to our social spotlight of the week. This goes to Clare Crawley. She commented on a video of Zach. He did an interview, I think, with Entertainment Weekly, talking about producers and things like that, about, when he can like step in. So Clare goes, "You don't have to do anything the producers tell you to do. Just comes with consequences if you don't." So that's interesting.
Yes, that is interesting. I mean, I think Zach, it was interesting in that interview with EW, he was saying, like, they asked him why he doesn't like stop someone from interrupting him. And I think Zach was like, I don't know if I can really answer this, but like, I'm told not to, which is like obvious, but to say that out loud is interesting, and something that they kept in there, and that he did say it. I think we know that. But then Claire is one of those who just can't, help maybe sprinkling in a little bit of their own tea or her own 2 cents. And as we mentioned, the talk about Instagram followers, Zach reposting a different meme about, the women wanting all these followers. And then he doubled down in a very funny meme during a trip to Meta Instagram. He said, "Just here for the followers, #Meta." And it's him doing one of those little tiny desk interviews that they do at Instagram HQ, which is cute. And as of, this recording, we got Zach at 97.4K. So
not there yet.
Not there yet.
Close, but not there. All right, Sarah, who's on the podcast this week?
Okay, well, last week I was supposed to have Dr. Darcy, and we had a lot of conflict issues. So I got my boy Connor, who I'm so thankful for, and he's so funny. You should go listen to that full thing. He had very specific predictions about what he thinks is going to happen for the rest of the cast, including Greer. And so this week I've actually talked to Dr. Darcy. So we're going to get a little more analysis. I want to dive into Gabby and her body image issues, some of the stuff that Hunter said last week, get more of an expert's point of view on some relationship stuff. So check that out.
Excited to hear it. All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Here for the Right Reasons. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.